Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Forecast, and it's official. Ange Postecoglou has been sacked as Nottingham Forest manager. In my opinion, the worst appointment in Premier League history, has now been sacked as the quickest manager ever, only lasting 39 days in the Premier League and 8 games altogether, including only 5 Premier League games where he failed to win a single game. I mean, this is incredible considering how much they have fell from last season. Let's get into this, and if you enjoy this video, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just before we actually get into the appointment and then what I do in the future, I would just like to say I don't think Forest played particularly bad today. First of all, I think you've got to admire the fact that Ange did try something different. Clearly, this was something that he knew he was going to need to do to have any chance of surviving his job. He set them up in a 5-back. I thought they looked very good in that first half and should have been 2 or 3-0 up. Now, in the second half, not so great, but the goals they conceded were terrible. First of all, that free kick, that should never be going in the back of the net. Set pieces continue to be an issue under Ange, so I don't think that's completely not his fault. But I think overall, Forest deserved to win this game, or at least get something from this game. So I don't think it's Ange Postecoglou's fault at that point. He can't put the ball in the back of the net, which the Forest players failed to do. In saying this though, I don't think it would have mattered. If Forest won today, I think he goes either way. I think it's that simple. Ange Postecoglou was always going to be sacked as Nottingham Forest's manager, and this was very much going to be his last game in charge. So this result for me was pretty much pointless today. The writing was on the wall. Marinakis had decided to sack him beforehand, and I think the performance shows that. Because I don't think there's anything more you would have learnt from Forest to say, oh, that's the reason to sack him. Oh, we need to sack him for this reason. You would have actually gone, you know what, there's actually better signs in what we've seen in the past. Well, let's keep him in. But they obviously haven't decided to do this. So this is the main man in charge of Nottingham Forest, Mr. Marinakis, as we all know him. And I think it's fair to say he's got it completely wrong in the appointment of Ange Postecoglou, and he's now rectified that. He has sacked him. But this doesn't change the fact it was an awful appointment from the start, which so many people said that would happen. I said it would happen, and that's not impressive because the whole football world knew that this was a bad appointment, really. Even Forest fans, I think, were like, please don't get this guy in. As soon as he comes in, it's like, you always try to give the manager time, and eventually it was just so obvious this wasn't going to work. Why? Complete opposite style of play to what got you into 7th place last year under Nuno. Nuno did a brilliant job. And people will say, look, we had to sack Nuno because of what he was saying, because he was causing these sort of problems in the press conferences, for example. But the problem is that you've gone for an exact opposite style of play. You could have gone for something similar. You could have got something that was close to what Nuno was offering. If you wanted to go a bit more attacking, you could have gone something a bit more in between a Postecoglou and Nuno. The problem is that you went complete extremes and you decided to pick a manager who was obviously going to stick to a very high line. He's going to be a very attacking manager. A manager that's actually really struggled in the Premier League in the past. Look, people say he won a trophy at Spurs. Yes, that was very impressive. Fair play to Postecoglou. He defied expectations there. No one really expected him to win that after, if you looked at the Premier League performances. But it was clear his style of football wasn't working in the Premier League. He's not probably a good enough manager of the Premier League. But Marinakis decided to appoint him anyway. Now, where am I going to give Marinakis some credit? He sacked him immediately. It would have been easy to just sort of wait longer, decide, oh, we'll give him another 3 weeks to hopefully sort it out. I personally would have sacked him 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, but I think he's done it as early as he probably could have, without sort of making himself look like an absolute fool. And I think it was more trying to just get the manager they want over the line more than anything. There's been rumours of Mancini and Dyche. I'm going to talk about that later. But I think it was all sort of about the rumours of just sort of trying to get that manager they wanted in appointed. And they were just sort of waiting for this to happen. And I think no matter what, he was gone today. So what does this mean for Nottingham Forest and the future of the club? Well, these two managers are in the front running. We've got Sean Dyche, who apparently is the favourite, and we've got Roberto Mancini, who is in the frame. Sean Dyche, I think this shows to Forest fans that this means that they are willing to accept that they are in a relegation battle, because that's really the only reason you bring Dyche in. I think Dyche is a better manager than people give him credit. I think he's a bit limited, but he's very good at what he does. There's no doubt about this. And he's never had as good squad as Nottingham Forest, I think it's fair to say. But it's for me, if you're appointing Sean Dyche, you're basically saying, we're more worried about surviving in the Premier League this season. We think we can be relegated. And that's incredible if you think about why they appointed Ange, was because they thought they would be fine. They could win a trophy. Exact opposite expectations. The expectations for Nuno this season. We know how ambitious Marinakis's would have been to, I think, to sort of push into European places, at least give a very good go and try win the Europa League. And all of a sudden we're saying, let's just make sure we don't get relegated. I mean, it's absolutely mental. This is what we're discussing. Mancini, I think this would be a better appointment. I like Mancini as a manager. He's a Premier League winning manager as well. He's very adaptable. I think he can play a more attacking style, a more defensive style. He's usually good with players in the counter-attack, and that would be my target. If you can get Mancini in, I think you get Mancini in over Sean Dyche. I don't think Forest fans need to panic hugely. I think that the reason why they're struggling so much is actually Ange Postecoglou. I think there's a very good squad there. There's no doubt about that. I think a manager like Mancini can get that squad and pull that squad in the right direction. And the other thing is, if that worked, if let's say you're 10 games in with Mancini and it's just not working at all, you could still go for a saver like Sean Dyche, and I think you could still stay up. Because that Forest squad is a lot better than any of the other squads around that sort of relegation zone. For example, a Wolves, a West Ham. Forest's squad is so much better than them. If they need to, they can just focus on the Premier League and sort of not look at the Europa League and just make sure they survive, I think, with a manager like Dyche. I mean, that's the other thing. I don't know. I think Mancini gives you a better chance of probably winning a Europa League as well, which should have been Forest's target at the start of the season. That's the easiest entrance into Europe, and it definitely is now. I think what's key for Forest now is they pick up some good Premier League points. Ideally, they look pretty much safe by January, February, and then it's full focus on the Europa League, Ange Postecoglou style, basically. But that's probably what's going to happen. I think now. I think they get Mancini for sure. I think they will be, let's say, 10 points out of the relegation zone. Okay, now let's focus on the Europa League. Let's try get into the Champions League, which would be mental if they did do it. It is so like Spurs from last season. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you agree with what I was saying? Who do you want as the manager of Nottingham Forest? If there's any Forest fans and neutral fans, let me know your appointment. Let me know your opinion on the sacking. Was it too early? Should have they done it earlier like I was saying? And if you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel.